Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess, and it's day number 897, and McDonald's still will not let me see the shed where they keep Grimace. But for the last week I've been carrying the Cold Steel Mayhem, and it took 4 months of saving to get this thing, and the wife having my back with the last like $40. I am so happy I got this, and like, if you've looked around, the retail on Cold Steel's website is like $350. Everywhere else more reasonably sells it at $240, and I got this one on Blade Bench for $175, like basically taken out of the box and maybe cut some paper. So I am so happy to have this. It was such a great week. Oh my god. But let's get the preamble out of the way, because you know I spoil you guys. And first things first, and most importantly, the pocket clip is tip up, and say it with me, children, which is the Lord's carry. We have got G10 in 2 different colors on the scales. We got an Atlas lock, so let's flick the lock. And we got 6 inches of AUS 10A steel. And, there's a lot of notable things. Now, the wife did ask if she should be jealous of this thing, and I told her, well, you don't centrifugally open. But conversely, this thing doesn't have a bean I can flick, so yeah, it all evens out. But I kept this in the waistband for a couple of days, and it was interesting there. Like, it was nice and flat, and it carried as well as a Cold Steel pocket sword should. However, my god, like, there was just such a huge flat spot down my right hip, and it encroached onto my pocket, so it made it hard to put stuff in my pocket and get it back out. But other than that, it was surprisingly comfortable for its size, which is what she said. Like, if I sat on it wrong in the truck or something like that, of course I noticed it. How can you not? But then I transferred it to my pocket, and it did really good there. Again, despite how much real estate it took up, it did well. It still made it really hard to fish anything out around it, and it made it really hard to put anything back. And again, that's the price of a ticket to Big Knife Town. It just is. So, I can't really complain there. Like, Cold Steel is great at making pocket swords that are surprisingly easy to carry. Like, that's just one of their fortes. And this was such a fantastic week. Now, I did feed this thing a couple of pieces of cardboard, and dear lord, it's slicey. Like, it cut through it like a laser. Way better than something this big deserved, but you got a really high flat grind into your flat here. You got the swedge right here, and you got surprisingly thin blade stock for something from Cold Steel. Like, surprisingly thin. So it was super slicey. The plastic cut on the pallet is where it started to show a little bit of weakness. That all the stuff in the middle, of course it blasted through it. The layer on the bottom, I had to pull it really tight to get a clean, easy cut on it, tighter than normal. So I'd give the factory edge about a 7 out of 10. It's not as good as most of the factory edges I've got from Cold Steel. I could blame it on the previous owner using it more than they said in the listing on Blade Bench. I doubt that. I'm pretty sure this is just straight up factory edge, virtually untouched out of a couple of test cuts on paper. Nothing seems used, nothing felt used, and Cold Steel, they have been becoming a little bit hit or miss with their edges, but it's still a really good edge, especially for something this comically oversized. And now that I got the edge sharpness tester, let's take a look at that. And we're going to try something a little different. We're not going to turn the light on this thing so that it makes it a little bit easier for you guys to see, I think. So let's try that out. And, oh god, I am arming the tester. Alright, so it's tared out to 0. We're good there. Let's take a look, get a general idea of what we're doing with this edge. And, oh boy, I gotta move this thing over a little bit. We're gonna tilt it. And, oh, we're gonna edge so hard here. We're gonna edge so hard. Tear this thing back out. Accidentally touched it at the wrong time. Okay. 178. So like I said, it is not the best edge I've gotten from Cold Steel. Let's see. Yeah, 178. It's not the best edge I've gotten from cold steel, but again, it's still really good for something this oversized. You know, and again, I can sharpen this out one way or another. Now, one thing that we're going to do is we are going to do Cardboard Slayer with it, and I'm going to have to figure out how to make it cooperate with the Precision Adjust, because that is a ton of weight hanging off one side that I don't know if it's going to move around or not. That flat may help. You know, it didn't cooperate with the 4MAX Scout, so it's going to be a bit of a deal to get through that process. But we're going to try. I'm not sure when I'm going to do Cardboard Slayer with it, because that's going to be a special occasion. That might be when I'm on vacation in the middle of October. So I am looking forward to that part. I'm not looking forward to having to sharpen it. I am not sure how I'm going to make that work. Something may have to support this end, and it's going to be a search to find something that's exactly the right size to hold the dingus end right here up. Now, the only major complaint that I have is this pocket clip. All right, this pocket clip is hilariously tiny. Like it, and the fact that the knife is this big makes it look even smaller. And that was a little bit of a struggle to get over the hem of the pocket. I wish it wasn't, but it was a little bit of a challenge. However, when it did clip in, it did good there. It's just that was a little bit of extra work. And again, cold steel, you're breaking my heart. Why do you have so many much more normal sized knives with much more robust, beefier pocket clips, and we get this on something this damn oversized? I don't get it. And again, being on video, it doesn't really give you a chance to process the scale of this thing. Like, it doesn't. You know, I saw this in a lot of videos, and I knew I had to have it, but once I had it in hand at Blade Show at the Cold Steel booth, I fell so hard in love for this thing, you know, and fell in love with this thing. And, you know, again, like, in the hand, like, you know, I've got extra large hands, and they still, like, the grip on this is really comfortable. Like, you can grab it right here, or you can choke up on it, and, that part's comfortable. But, like, look at how much dingus end I have on either side of my hand. Of course, it's hella oversized, you know, and parking the blade like this, you can see it's comically huge, but it still doesn't give you the scope of the sheer size of this thing. It does not. You know, so like if you get a chance to handle one of these, just pick it up and open and close it a few times. Your mind shall be blown. Let's take a look at the weight on my other scale. I can't believe I'm adding this much content. You know, and like the wife, I don't think she realized I was keeping the scale when I brought it downstairs. She got it for the kitchen, and we don't do a lot of cooking, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to borrow that, and by borrow, I mean keep. But 367 grams. So this would be the heaviest thing I think I've ever carried. And, you know, despite its weight, it did really well there. It did really well there. Come on. Shut down. There we are. Now, of course, it was like having a bit of a boat anchor. So, you know, on the hip and the waistband, it pulled down on my pants so hard. And like everything else, throwing it in the pocket, somehow it distributed the force better and it wasn't as bad. I still found myself tucking my shirt in more than usual because of the weight here, but it wasn't nearly as bad as you think it'd be. You know, and this is everything I ever wanted in a pocket sword. You know, you've got the sheer size of this thing. That's what she said. And one-handed open and closing. Like, that in itself is fantastic. You know, and the Atlas lock, from what I have seen in the testing, has taken 800 pounds of weight right here before the lock failed. So I can be very confident with it. I will never push it that hard. You know, and I'm not sure how much, like, chopping and stuff into material that AUS 10A can take. We know S35 VN can soak up a ton of punishment. But I haven't done that to AUS 10A, and I'm certainly not going that far on this one. But, you know, absolute delight to carry. It's everything I ever wanted, save the pocket clip. Because, I mean, you know, significantly smaller knife. All right, the blade is the length of this thing. Like, just about literally, the blade is the length of this. All right, and this thing has a robust, good enough pocket clip that would have worked great on this. Like, the pocket clip could have fit pretty well, and they could have accommodated for a pocket clip, and they didn't. So that's the only gripe I have with this thing, is just that pocket clip. And I have asked online to see if there was a larger pocket clip available for this that someone knew about, because I go online and I look and I don't see something that exactly matches this pattern, and I don't want to waste my money on something that doesn't fit. And that just, it is what it is. I know one of my guys has this and has bought a bigger pocket clip, so if you could share in the comments which one you bought, I would be very grateful, because I do want to swap the pocket clip out, especially now that I don't have to carry it on the factory settings. So, and of course, this is the poverty spec version. There is one in S35VN that was limited to 1,000 pieces. And I would have loved to have got that one just to be like, oh, I'm superior. But this is more than good enough for me. And of course, I wouldn't have carried it the way I did either. And again, like my keys, I don't know if this will show up on camera really well, but they deposit a lot of brass into the surface, especially in G10. This will clean off with acetone, but this is one I don't care. I don't care, all right? I will carry it and use it and not be bothered. And I'm going to hate throwing this on the pile. I'm probably still going to carry it once in a while when I'm not at work and not using it heavily, just outside of my review cycle, just because it's so much fun. But, this is one of those, it costs that much, and I still don't care that much if it gets scraped up or beaten up or picks up battle scars, because, that's what it's supposed to do. This thing all scarred up would look way cooler, and a black coating on this would have made that scarring look a lot better, but, I still like a satin finish. So that's kind of my review of the Mayhem. That was my experience with this thing. I'm not sure when we're going to get to Cardboard Slayer, just because I'm so scared of having to sharpen it and having problems. I don't want to zip this over the belt grinder, because that thing is known for messing up tips on knives, and I'd rather have a very nice mirrored 15 to 17 degree edge, depending on what my ancestors tell me and what the best angle for this steel is. If I can get EDC and lace on it and KO knives to figure this out, we'll have a good idea how to sharpen it. But anything else, and I am holding you guys hostage, so thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Again, y'all pushed us past 2,000. If you haven't subbed, please do. There's going to be more giveaways in the future, and of course, you'll be watching all this fantastic content. Comments, I love some feedback. Let me know what you think about this thing. If you got one, share your experience. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.